So let's go to page 50. You don't need to know when or how you went from loving yourself as a little kid to criticizing yourself as a teenager, a young adult, or an adult. If you want to unpack where all of this negative thought and all of these negative beliefs that you have about yourself started, give yourself the gift of working with a therapist. In our daughter's case, remember, chapter 4 started with a text that one of our daughters sent us. How do I not feel like the ugliest girl at the bar every time I go out? And with her permission, she let me share that text in the book. In our daughter's case, I asked her and I said, when did you start thinking that you're the ugliest person in the bar or around your friends? And she said, I don't know when it began because I don't ever remember not feeling that way about myself and my body. And here's something really profound and honest that she shared. She said, the truth is, Mom, I know I'm not that ugly. I'm just the biggest one of all my friends, and I hate it. How many of you can relate to that? I'm just the X of all my friends. I'm the biggest. I'm the least successful. I'm the lightest. I'm the darkest. I'm the tallest. I'm the shortest. I have the least money. That there's some way that you are identifying yourself in relation to other people that makes you feel less than. And that's what I see in the mirror. I'm bigger than I want to be, and it makes me feel horrible about myself. And then she said, I wish I didn't think about it all the time, but I don't know how to stop. God, I can so relate to that. I wish I didn't think I'm a bad person all the time. I wish I didn't think I screw up all the time. I wish I didn't think I'm not good enough all the time. I wish I didn't think I was the biggest or the tallest or the shortest all the time, but I don't know how to stop. It's so honest. It's so relatable, isn't it? And as we talked about it further, it was clear you can't hate your body and accept and love yourself at the same time. You can't do that. You are a whole person. Hating parts of yourself means you're not accepting and loving yourself as you are. When you look in the mirror and you focus on what you need to fix, it's the opposite of a high five. This is a habit of self-rejection. And by the way, I know you know this, but our daughter's not alone on not liking how she looks. According to our research, more than 50% of men and women will not look at themselves in the mirror. Like they are disgusted by what they see. They are so used to rejecting what they see, they won't even look in the mirror. 91% of women are unhappy with their bodies. And of course, the media and the images that you and I see just bombard us with, this unrealistic crap, and that doesn't help. And when you constantly wish that you looked different, how many of you wish you looked different? Be honest. Put a little hand in the comments if you wish you looked different. This is so pervasive, this self-rejection. Wishing you looked different is a habit of rejecting who you are, where you are, and what you look like. And it's so sad because there will never, ever, 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 ever be another you. There's never been somebody like you on the planet. There will never be another one of you. And here you are, just like everybody else, looking in the mirror and wishing you looked different. It's one thing to kind of say, I got to take better care of myself. It's another thing to wish you were a different person. In order to break this habit of self-rejection, we are going to start with something that is low, not going to even go for self-love. That will come with time. We got to come with self-acceptance. We got to come with self-compassion. We got to come to the table with a little bit more self-respect. We got to come and start to build a little bit more self-worth. If this is something that you can relate to, and every human being relates to this, because I think every single one of us, it's only gotten worse with the amount of marketing and social media imagery bombarding you and kind of tweaking you to think that you need a particular lotion or a particular lipstick or a particular type of pants, or you got to be a particular size or a particular shape in order to be acceptable or desired. And what I'm here to tell you is the high five habit is about learning how to break that desire to be somebody else and learning how to accept at the beginning and respect and be compassionate and to start to feel worthy as you are. And with that as your foundation, my God, you can go and do and be anything you want to be when you come from a place of acceptance, support, respect, worth, and validation for exactly where you are and exactly where you're not. Isn't this cool? So, and here's the other reason why you need to do this. When you constantly wish you look different, or you see a world reflected back in a way that makes you feel like you don't belong, your entire existence is going to feel like there's something wrong with you. And there are three main reasons why I need you to change this. We're on page 50, everybody who's reading along. And for those of you just joining, I'm Mel Robbins, and this is the High Five Habit. This is a New York Times best-selling book. We're on week 2 of the New York Times. It was the number 2 selling book on Amazon when it came out 2 weeks ago for a week straight. You've made it the number 1 selling audiobook of the entire month. It's just extraordinary. And this book is changing people's lives by changing how they treat themselves. Here's why you got to change your mind. We're on page 50 if you want to read along. And please, if this is inspiring you, if you're like, wow, I needed to hear this today, get a copy. Literally, go online, get yourself a copy. You need this book. This is exactly the book that the world needs right now. There are 3 reasons why you have to stop beating yourself up, and you must learn how to love yourself and empower yourself. Number 1, when you focus on what's wrong, you're never going to change. Because with the attitude that something's wrong, every change that you're trying to make is a reminder that you need fixing. And the attitude that there's something wrong makes everything feel harder. How many of you have literally yo-yo dieted, started and stopped exercising programs, constantly stopping, starting, struggling with motivation? I'm going to tell you the reason why that's the case, everybody, is because when you feel like there's something wrong, changing is punishment. This is why diets don't work, because exercise plans and diets feel like punishment. Being on a diet only reinforces the feeling that there's something wrong with you, so you need to be on a diet, and that you're not okay or lovable or fantastic as you are. Diets work when you feel empowered to be healthier because you believe you deserve to be healthier, not because there's something to fix or that there's something wrong with you, but because of your self-worth and self-respect, that you're like, wow, I deserve to actually feel a little bit better. So I'm going to make some choices that make me feel better in terms of what I put in my body. I keep seeing a couple comments, so I want to address them. Okay.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that you write about, in fact, everybody, a third of the book is a section called Who You Have and Who Has You.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is, that there are so many people, whether they're marginalized by society, or they do not have family support, or they do not have financial resources, or they do not have a supportive friend group, or they are not married. How do you actually get support when you feel like you have none?
Yeah.
Where do you even begin? I mean, first of all, I would imagine it has to be about your mindset, because if you continue to tell your story, I'm fucked, or, like whatever, you're never going to even do the work, but to try to create a support system, whatever that looks like. But where would you advise somebody who has that story? Maybe it's because of circumstances of their life. Maybe it's a reality right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people watch social media and listen to your podcast or watch us on YouTube, Jenna, because they don't have a support system. And so where do you begin if you're just feeling sort of rejected or jaded or alone?
Yeah. You and I have had so many conversations about this topic because I think it is so close to our hearts, especially as women and entrepreneurs. But, you know, it's really interesting because there was this reel that was going around, and it was like, do you ever notice that sometimes the people closest in your life are the last ones to support you? And the thought was because they're watching you change and they're still stuck. And I think a lot of times that thought alone, or when we get excited about something, or when we decide we're going to change and the people closest in our life aren't supporting us, we just stop. We stop wanting to change. We stop trying to change our life. We stop trying to take control of our future because we're like, how can the people literally sharing space with me or being in my life not support me? But what's so real to remember is that your change, while it might intimidate some, it is going to inspire so many more. And so you can't let that stop you. So here's the thing that I've realized, especially coming out of the pandemic, especially too as a mom of young ones, is like, you know how they always say, like, it takes a village. And I think a lot of people are looking around right now and saying, where is the village? Where are my
Okay,
people?
so stop. So I want to say this right now.
Yeah.
How many of you literally just, you're like, ding, 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 ding. I don't even have that family, Jenna. Where's the damn village? Okay. I'm ready to change. Where is everybody that is going to help me? How do you start? Because you know what book keeps coming to mind, and you're going to have to help me with the title, or can everybody watching help me crowdsource this? It's an incredible book. I have read it twice. I can't remember the name. I think the guy's first name is Chris. I think it's called The Master Plan. The dude is in jail. I love this book because I was a public defender in New York City doing criminal defense work. He was in jail, and I think it's called Master List. And he made a list, and he wrote it on a wall. And he made a commitment to himself that he was just going to figure out how to get and cross off everything on that list while he was in jail, getting in shape, studying and reading, becoming sober, and then, like, when he got out, step by step by step. And so I also think that the first step, everybody, it goes back to the embers. It goes back to the embers to fan the freaking flame for yourself and give yourself permission to tap into all those things that you really want to cross off the master list before you die. And you got to get intentional about feeling that ember and writing down what is there. And then I think Jenna can help us to figure out, how do we create, Jenna, a support system when we feel like we have no one, or we have been conditioned as women to believe that we cannot ask for help.
Oh my gosh. So there's an actual chapter in my book about asking for help, because even to this day, it's a struggle. And I shared this with our mutual friend, Ed Milet, but I had to recognize that for so many of us, asking for help feels weak. But if we reframe it and we recognize that asking for help gives someone else the opportunity to be strong, it changes everything. Like, my mom is here right now. She is a helper. Like, her Enneagram, she's a helper. And when I ask her for help and tell her how she can support me, it makes her come alive. It helps her to live out her passion. So one of the things is, if you don't have anyone around you, if you don't have any community, you have to put yourself in proximity of finding people. Whether it is taking your kids to the playground where other parents might be, whether it is going on a walk in your neighborhood, and if you see somebody outside, stopping and talking to them, whether it is going to sit in a coffee shop and having conversation with the barista. The thing is about community is that we're waiting for ours to show up, but we're not showing up. We're not out there. We're not the ones reaching out. We're not the ones sending the text messages. You know that I do this in my life literally every single day, where I reach out and I say to people, I say, hey, no need to respond. I just want you to know I'm thinking of you and I'm here. Shoot me a message if you need something. Or I'll say, hey, Mel, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at today, so I know how I can show up and support you? If you're at a 10, let me celebrate you. If you're at a 1, how can I be there for you? I'm not going to assume you're any sort of way, whether it's what you're showing online or where you're at in your life. And so it's like we have to start with being the support if we want the support back. But then we also have to learn, how do we ask for help and liberate other people to step into their power of helping us? I think both of those things are things that we get wrong all the time.
You know, it's easy, everybody, to kind of give that a giant eye roll. Seriously? Like, I got nobody and you're telling me I'll get a cup of coffee and talk to people at the playground? I have a confession. I have a hard time, like, pushing myself to go out. I am a real homebody. And, you know, a lot of you know that we have recently sold our house outside of Boston of 25 years, and we have moved to a much more rural area in southern Vermont where I do not have a lot of friends yet. And I noticed that the biggest obstacle in my way is me, because I sit in my house and I tell myself the story that there's only 3,000 people in this town. I'm never going to meet anybody. You know, there's nothing going on here. Like, but the truth is, I'm not actually doing anything. I'm not Googling what's going on. I'm not pushing myself to attend events. And so my own complaining and my story that I have no one is fueling behavior that keeps me isolated. And so the second that I started Googling stuff that's going on, I found a freaking drag queen bingo night at the local hotel to celebrate gay pride. I then bumped into a woman at the Walgreens parking lot who had a, you know, hat on for RGB. And I'm like, hey, and we start talking. I invite her to drag queen bingo. Turns out she used to work for Alvin Ailey in New York City and moved to this tiny town. And so that is how it happens. And we want to think it's more complicated, but it's not. And what you're learning so far, this is the book. It'll hold your hand like a great friend. How are you really? To help you take control of your life. It starts with that ember. It starts with you. Oh my God. Chris Robbins, talk about support. I got to show you guys this. Chris just came up. Can you see that? The I love you post-it. Oh my God. Chris, come in and say hi to Jenna.
Oh, I miss him.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You know why he does that? Because I started to tell him that I need more like words like that.
I just said that to Drew the other night.
Say hi to Jenna.
Hey, Jenna.
Drew and I literally had this conversation the other night. Hi, Chris.
How are ya?
I miss you.
I miss you
Look at my
too.
newest baby. Have you seen her?
Congratulations.
And look, we got YOLO here too, everybody.
Hi, pups. Oh, look at your cute little sticky note. You need to text my husband, because Drew and I literally had this conversation the other night. And I was like ragging on him because I was like, I am a words of affirmation person. And he's like, I literally have a handwritten card waiting for you at home. And I was like, why did you not bring it to dinner for me?
Oh, shoot. There goes my post-it note. You're going to have to grab it, honey.
Well,
love you, buddy.
Well, Chris is a touch guy. And I need to be better at the touch. I'm sorry. We're going to make this PG, guys, everybody.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you, Chris. I love you, buddy.
Love you too. Best of luck.
Aww.
Oh, okay. I love him. And by the way, all of you are saying Chris Wilson, The Master Plan. That's the book, How I Went from a Life in Prison to a Life of Purpose. That book will change your life as well. And you're going to pick that up right after you pick up How Are You Really? Because Jenna's going to, if you're not clear about it, you can't make a master plan. And it is about fanning the embers, everybody. And then it's about getting clear about what you need and surrounding yourself with people and stopping down that story that there's nobody there and life isn't fair and I can't do this and nobody likes me and it's not fair that I don't have a spouse or a supportive family or any of that stuff, because those embers, they turn into a smoldering fire and flame inside you. And we're giving you the steps, and the steps are simple. What makes it hard is you don't take it. And that comes to number
Yes.
3. And this is the most important
Yeah.
part of your book, in my opinion, because it aligns with what I'm constantly smashing people about every day. Okay, great. I get it, everybody. You got imposter syndrome. You've screwed up your life.
Yeah.
Nobody's there to support you. You got a ton of regrets. You have trauma. You have this. I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm trying to say, welcome to life.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? Because complaining about it, being angry at other people, like being in your misery, succumbing to your emotion, even though it can be overwhelming. And look, you're talking to a woman who literally for the last 6 weeks has been in a mental health breakdown. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? That's what that's what you need to ask yourself. And that's what the last third of this book is about.
One of the things that I wanted to teach you tonight is this attitude that I have. So I have cultivated what I call a high five attitude. And what that is it's the ability to catch yourself when you go mentally low. You know what it feels like when you go mentally low. You start to get negative. You start to feel discouraged. You start to get angry. You feel frustrated. You feel hopeless. You feel alone. You feel like life is out to get you. It can be triggered when you feel jealous, when you feel insecure, when you start people pleasing, when you feel like you've worked hard and you're not getting rewarded for it. You can feel mentally low when somebody stabs you in the back, when somebody ignores you, when you don't get invited. There's like a bazillion ways that life can make you or trigger you to go mentally low, right? So I'm human. When I find out that these big box retailers are not going to carry my book, I of course feel rejected. I have this story that I'm like the bad news bears. I'm rolling in without the nice equipment, without the right friend group. Well, I have amazing friends. That's not a trash of my friends, but I've got this stupid story that I'm always on the outside looking in. Do you guys ever feel that way? That you're never just quite walking through the front door anywhere? That you got to sneak in the back? That you got to like make sure that somehow you get people to pay attention, that you don't quite belong? Well, I have that story too. It's dumb, I know, whatever, but it's my story. So when something like this happens, I can take it personally. And I started to go literally down. Like, woe is me. Oh my God, all this work. No one's going to read the book. This is going to be a huge failure. Why is it always so hard? Why is it that, I get rejected? I think I shared with you guys that I had, a couple weeks ago, I had sent all of these videos to all of these big name celebrity podcasts that I really admire. I've been fans of for years. I poured my heart into these pitches. Crickets. So when I hear crickets from podcast hosts, that are the big celebrities, and then I get passed on from the big box retailer like you, I'm like, yikes, what did I do? Aren't I working hard? Why am I not getting the recognition? So here's what I want to tell you. Number one, this moment is preparing you. This moment is preparing you for something that's coming, period. And what I think that this moment is preparing me for, and this is what I want to teach you. I want to teach you something really important in life, particularly in moments when things are pivoting. This moment is preparing me for something amazing that's coming, because I always am successful when I do things my way. I'm always successful when I take the road less traveled. I'm always successful when I find the courage to ignore where everybody else is headed and do something and do things in the way that really calls to me. And that's right. Rejection is redirection. It's true. Whatever you're facing in your life right now, whether it is rejection from a person or rejection of your business plan or rejection of the skincare or the supplement line or the whatever you're trying to sell, or rejection of you telling a good friend of yours that you're actually interested in them romantically, and then you get that awkward silence that there's not. Whatever rejection you're facing, it is a redirection. And you have to hold on to the faith, the hope, the confidence, the courage, and the optimism in knowing that every time that life doesn't give you what you thought you wanted, you always end up somewhere better, period. You know, you have a choice right now. You have a choice to decide how you're going to think about what comes next. And that's where your power is, truly. And so what I've basically said to myself is, this is a blessing. This is a blessing because this is not about mass market for you, Mel. It's about impact with individual people. Stay focused on that. Stay focused. Like you could never buy any of my books at the big box retailers, so why the hell am I worried about it, right? You know? And the other thing is I feel like I want to tell you something else about gatekeepers. So I think gatekeepers are only relevant if you want to get a corporate job, or if you want to go with traditional media, or you want to do things the traditional way. This world is in a major pivot right now. Major pivot. Work is never going to be the same. Technology is advancing at such a rapid pace. Now is an incredible moment to pivot the way that you think. And the only gatekeeper that matters in your life is not the gatekeeper at some job that you want, or the gatekeeper at some TV station or some magazine or some other mass media or some retailer or some traditional retail. The gatekeeper moving forward is the gatekeeper in your mind, period. And what I know is that this world is full of limitless possibilities, limitless, as long as you stay open to those possibilities. That when somebody does reject you or says no or ignores you or passes or reject, like whatever it is, you don't get what you wanted. You have to look at that as a blessing, and you have to look at that as a sign that something else is coming. And it's even better than you could possibly imagine. Period. Okay? So I'm sharing this with you in real time. I just got the news from my agent. That's why I'm a little flush, because I was a little upset, felt definitely rejected. Like, Jesus, is any, like at first I get fired from my TV show. Now I can't get a big box retailer to carry my book. I guess I'm still going to do things my way. You know what? Every time I do things my way, it's wildly successful. And every time you do your things your way, you're going to be wildly successful. It takes courage to be yourself. But I'm telling you, putting your spin on things, staying focused on the impact that you want to make, taking everything that happens as just more data and more evidence and more signs and signals that are always pointing you in what's meant for you, that is how you face the ups and downs of life with a high five attitude. Yeah, feel the sting. Because if you don't feel the sting, you're an asshole, or you're numb, or you're narcissistic and you can't feel anything. Seriously, feel the sting of disappointment. And then let those moments when it feels like life is knocking you down, let those moments allow you to regather your strength. Take time to remind yourself of what actually matters to you. And what matters to me is making an impact in your life. And so if this this moment where I'm being passed on, is what spurred me on to jump on a live stream at 11:15 in the morning and talk to you, and there's something about this live stream that actually is of value to you, then that's an incredible, incredible reason to get passed on by a retail store, period, full stop. A no is just a no. And that most successful people, the talented ones, it's people who continue to push forward despite the no's that they hear. And you're going to hear a lot of no's. a ton of no's. Do you understand? Most of us have Oprah on a vision board, or we really admire Oprah. You admire Oprah. I mean, who the hell doesn't? She's one of the most remarkable people on the planet. Do you know that when she started out her career, she was kicked out of the anchor chair at WJZ-TV in Baltimore after just a few months of landing that role? Do you know that Madonna, after dropping out of college, she took a job at Dunkin' Donuts and she was fired because she got jelly on a customer? Or how about Bill Gates and Paul Allen, the co-founders of Microsoft? Do you know that they started a company called Trafo Data? Trafo Data. Have you ever heard of it? Yeah, me neither. That's because it sucked. It was a gigantic no. But it led to something else. How about Katy Perry? Katy Perry, she sold more than 83 million singles and 6 million albums in the US alone. But it's been a long road to fame, people. Her first album was a failure, and she was dropped by Columbia Records. That's a gigantic no. Decca Records, they rejected the Beatles in 1962. I bet you they are really still regretting that if they're even in business. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Elvis Presley in 1954, he auditioned to sing at a club, and you know what he was told? That he was told he should stick to truck driving because he pretty much sucked as a singer. They told that to the king of rock and roll. And so I kind of feel like no's, whether you're getting rejected in the dating world, or you're getting rejected applying for jobs, or you're getting rejected as you talk to people about your business, or you're getting rejected by people that you are talking about your dreams with, okay? Tell me the last thing that you were rejected from. Tell me the last thing. What were you rejected from? I can tell you I did not get renewed at CNN after 4 years of working for them. That's a no, thank God, because I jumped right over to Audible Originals, and I would not be able to do a talk show if I was still under contract with CNN. Hallelujah. And so one of the things I want you to understand is that you have to reframe the no's that you've gotten. Every man or woman that has said no to you, that has rejected you, thank God, because that's not who you're supposed to be with. And if you're honest with yourself, when you look back at who you were in that relationship, you probably weren't the real you. And if you were the real you, the person said no because they're not a match for you. Terrific. You have to expect a no, because the right people are looking for you. The right people want to partner with you. The right people want to help you on your path to making your dreams come true. And so reframing no's and understanding that if you want to be successful, you're going to have to rack up a ton of no's. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five. I would expect at least 23 no's in a row. That's what I would expect. And I think that expecting no's and knowing that you got to go for them, you got to rack up like 23 in a row before you find the treasure. It's life's way of testing you. It's life's way of seeing if you deserve it, if you want it enough, if you're willing to work for it, if you're willing to be yourself, even when you are being told over and over and over again that who you are is not a fit for this person or this company or this particular prospect. That's okay. Because every time that you're willing to show up and be yourself and still face the no, your confidence gets stronger, your intuition gets stronger, your courage gets stronger, and you earn karma. You earn the hard-won victories and the hard-won potential and the hard-won good credit because you're trying and you're showing up.
For those who say, okay, I'm going to acknowledge this is negative. I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling a funk. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now, how do they start to shift for those that are ready?
Okay, great. So if you are sick and tired of beating yourself up, if you are sick and tired of focusing on what's not working, if you are sick and tired of the self-doubt and the self-criticism and the self-hatred, this is a game changer. And I only learned this 18 months ago. So despite all of my success, Koya, on the outside, being me was this weird mix of having positive outbursts of energy and enthusiasm in the moment, combined with a deep relentless, grinding internal voice that was critical, that had a lot of self-hatred, that was constantly making me feel like the world was aimed at me and that I was screwing everything up.
Yeah.
That was my experience. And I think that is the majority of people's experiences. That no matter how good it looks on the outside, the majority of human beings who are adults either can't look at themselves in the mirror, and this was a huge wake-up call in researching the high five habit. 50% of men and women, and this is not a blind, double research, PhD-backed study. This is looking at hundreds of thousands of people that are taking the high five challenge. This is looking at, the millions of people that follow me and the feedback that we're getting. 50% of the people that first try to do this high five habit, which I'll explain in just a second, report that they can't even look at themselves in the mirror. There is so much self-hatred,
Right.
or disgust, or judgment. It is so sad. And I am on a mission to wake everybody up and to teach everybody a fundamental, simple habit that unlocks science in your brain and in your nervous system to help you break the habit of self-rejection and self-hatred and self-doubt.
Right.
And that's where the high five habit comes in. And so the high five habit is very simple. First, I'm going to explain it, and then we can kind of unpack it however you think will benefit everybody that's listening. So all you're going to do is you're going to stand in front of the bathroom mirror. And I want this to become part of your morning routine. And there's lots of science around why I want you to do in the morning. We can get to that in a minute. But you're just going to stand in front of your bathroom mirror. And I want you to take a moment and I want you to look at the human being in the mirror. And that right there is a complete change from what you're doing right now. Because what you're doing right now when you stand in front of the mirror and you brush your teeth, or you stand in front of the mirror and you get ready for your day, is you either ignore yourself, you won't even look at yourself. That's a form of self-rejection.
Right.
Or you focus on all the things that you need to fix. Your hair, your makeup, the things you don't like. And so you start your day with a habit in your morning routine of rejecting yourself. And that habit of self-rejection has created the insecurity that you feel.
Yeah.
That habit of self-rejection is what drives your need for validation externally. That habit of self-rejection is why you think you're only worthy if somebody else says that you're worthy. And so the high five habit is all about using science to break the habit of self-rejection and replace it with a habit of self-empowerment, self-acceptance, self-compassion, self-love. And here's how you do it. You're just going to stand there. You're going to look at the person in the mirror. And notice I'm not saying reflection.
Right.
There are two people in the bathroom every morning. There's you and there's a human being in the mirror who has been waiting for you to wake up and realize that they're there. They are trying. They are doing their best. They are so beaten down by your relentless criticism. They need you. They need you to see the positive. They need you to compliment them. They need to be kind to them.
Yeah.
And so I want you to take that in for a minute, because you're staring at your soul, at your spirit, at your essence, at your humanity. And most of us have never actually considered that. I hadn't. And then what I want you to do is I want you to just reflect for a second as you look at that human being. What does she or he or they need from me today? Something you've never asked yourself. Because right now, what your morning routine is that you drift into your day and you start thinking about everybody else. What do you need to do for everybody else?
Right.
What's all the things on your to-do list? You have skipped the most important person, and that's the human being in the mirror. And I want you to literally stop and ask yourself, what do she, he, or they need from me? And it might be, I need you to have some freaking fun. I need you to stop being a bitch. I need you to be a little more positive here. I need you to reach out to some people.
Yeah.
And ask for some help. Something will pop in your mind.
Yeah.
And then take a deep breath. And then, as cheesy as it sounds, I want you to raise your hand and I want you to high five that human being in the mirror. and something crazy is going to happen. So this is why this is so revolutionary. Regardless of how weird the high five habit feels, regardless of how much you may resist it, regardless of how kind of corny it is, you will immediately feel your mood shift because your brain doesn't know the difference between high-fiving somebody else and high-fiving yourself.
That's what I love about it. I love that it's so simple and silly because we need to play more.
Yes. And so when you give somebody a high five, Koya, what does the high five communicate?
Yes, we got this. You're awesome. Just love.
Yes.
Basically, it communicates love.
It does. You're right. And it communicates a lot of different forms of love.
Yeah.
So it could be a high five that's really like encouraging, like, I see this is hard. You got this.
Yeah.
It could be shake it off. Keep going. It could be, I love you. It believe in you. We're together. It's partnership. It's like this massive, wonderful feeling of love. You have never high-fived somebody and thought, I hate you. I hope you fail.
Yeah.
You're ugly. You're worthless. Like, you've never done it. And so you can stand before yourself in the bathroom mirror and hate the person you see. Yeah. But the second you physically raise your arm and you do the motion that you've done your whole life, your brain shuts off all thinking and it taps into the programming in your mind that says, I believe in you. I love you. I see you. Keep going. And then you feel this boost in your mind because, and in your mood, every time somebody else is giving you a high five, your brain has released dopamine. That's why high fives feel so good.
Yeah.
The other reason why a high five feels so good is because your nervous system recognizes it as somebody celebrating you. And so you get this affirming life energy that jolts through your body. And so your brain, again, and your nervous system doesn't know the difference between me high-fiving you and me high-fiving myself. So even on my lowest days, Koya, when I high-five myself, I get a dopamine drip.
Yeah.
And I get this nervous system boosting the energy. And that's why it feels so good. We are using programming in you and aiming it back at you so that you have the benefit of belief, of self-love, of positive mental programming, of dopamine, and of a jolt through your nervous system. It's freaking bananas.
It's amazing. Yeah. I love that. I love that it's so simple. I love giving myself a high five. And I love something that you say. You say, and I don't know if this is your quote or something from someone else, but you say, the way you view yourself is the way you view the world.
It's true.
That's powerful.
It's true. Well, let's talk about people pleasing. So many of us struggle with people pleasing. Well, people pleasing for a long time, I thought people pleasing was about like making other people like me. That's what you're doing, but that's actually not the source of people pleasing. People pleasing is not about the need to be liked by other people.
Right.
People pleasing results from you not liking yourself. So people pleasing is about you and your self-hatred and your insecurity.
Wow.
Yes.
That's going to wake a lot of people up.
What did you just get from that?
People pleasing is more about how you feel about yourself than how you feel about others.
Correct. Because here's the thing. If you like yourself, even though you're not where you are, even though if you like yourself, even if you don't like where you are in your life right now, if you can still look in the mirror and see a person who's trying, a person who's worthy of support, a person that you're going to root for, a person that you like, because you deep down know, even though you're way more than you want to, even though you don't have the money you want, even though you're not in a relationship yet, whatever it is that you've been bashing yourself for, if you can look in the mirror and see somebody you genuinely like because you know deep down they're a good person and they're trying and they've survived a lot and they are a person that's worthy of being liked because you know who they are at their core. If you can feel that way about yourself and treat yourself that way by giving yourself a high five, that's how you demonstrate that you like yourself. When you go out into the world, if somebody doesn't like you, it does not take away from the fact that you still like yourself.
Right.
If you treat yourself with respect and somebody out in the world disrespects you, that will not change the fact that you still treat yourself with respect.
Right.
The core problem is that most of us look in the mirror and reject the person that we see. And then we bring that insecurity out into the world. And we are looking at lovers and bosses and friends and family to then make us feel secure or make us feel loved. When the root problem is we don't love and like ourselves. And so we got to bring all of that back in house.
Right.
Using the high five habit, you can show yourself, demonstrate to yourself, and practice what a person who likes and loves and respects themselves does, which is they wake up every day and they treat themselves with loving kindness. And the best part for me about the high five habit is you actually don't have to say a word. And in fact, I recommend that for the first 5 days, you don't. Because your self-critic and your brain programming is so negative and relentless, and it's been in there for decades, that I want you to feel the benefit of the science.
Right.
I want you to just stand there and look the human being in the eyes in the mirror. And I want you to raise your hand and notice what you're feeling. You can't help but crack a smile after you do this for a couple days because of the dopamine.
Right.
You can't help but shift how you see yourself because of the nervous system wiring. We've had reports back now from people who have said this really interesting thing. They've said, you know how can you recall a time in your life where you actually remember getting high fives?
Yeah.
When was it? Can you describe it? Put us at the scene.
Basketball.
Okay, put us right at the scene.
Oh, yeah. So playing basketball, I mean, that is the best place for high fives. High school, I mean, for a whole year, I rode the bench. But when I actually started getting rebounds, making points, high five. The more high fives I got, the better I got because it boosted my confidence in myself.
Correct. And, there's a study actually with the NBA that proves this.
Yeah.
So they took a look at NBA teams. Researchers did. I think this was in 2011. There's a massive article in the Wall Street Journal about this, as well as a published academic study. They looked at NBA teams. And do you know you can predict what teams are going to have the winningest record at the end of the season by looking at behavior in the preseason? And the behavior that predicts whether or not an NBA team is going to have a winning season or not is the number of pats on the back, fist bumps, and high fives that a team gives one another in the preseason.
Wow.
Because just as you said, based on your lived, felt experience, playing basketball, being in high school, being on a team, feeling the encouragement, the momentum, the support. High fives aren't gestures. They communicate trust and partnership and belief. So when you high five a teammate, you're communicating, we're in this, I believe in you, shake off that shot, even though you're on the bench, you're a valued member of this team, keep trying, keep going. And the corresponding data about the teams with the worst record was also true. They had the least number of pats on the back and fist bumps and high fives. Why? Well, when every player's in it for themselves, it creates distrust and selfishness.
Right.
And so by high-fiving yourself in the mirror, you can create that same partnership with yourself, and that same momentum starts to get created every single morning when you send yourself into the game of life every day, the way you would send yourself back into the game of basketball after having a team huddle.
I love that. And it actually brings me to one of the most important pillars of Get Loved Up, which is spirituality. And I kind of want to dive into spirituality with you because I feel like giving that high five is bringing people back into divine alignment with themselves.
Okay, say that again, because that is exactly right.
Giving that high five is bringing people back into alignment with themselves, with spirit, with the universe, with God. Because that negative self-talk is taking you out of alignment with love, out of alignment with spirit. And so that one act, because I know you say habits, I say ritual. We have so many different language, but what I feel when I give myself a high five and when I practice that positive self-talk is alignment with spirit.
1,000%. So all of the negative talk, like remember, let's go back to the two human beings in the bathroom, you and the human being in the mirror.
Yeah.
The negative self-talk stands between you two. And when you go to raise your hand and high five yourself, it is a moment of divinity with yourself, with your universe, with the spirit, with God, with whatever you believe in, you will feel that energy if you allow yourself to. You will feel yourself coming home. You will feel yourself stepping back into alignment with who you truly are in your essence, which is a being that is worthy of love, a being that is worthy of support simply because you exist. Like today is my 53rd birthday. And when I think about birthdays, right, what are you actually celebrating?
Right.
You're celebrating life. You're celebrating your breath. You're celebrating the fact that you're still here. And there is something divine about that. And every single morning, if you make the high five habit a ritual that starts your day, you are also bringing the celebration of your life and your existence into your morning. And the thing that I love about this, because, you know, I love gratitude and I love meditation, and these are extraordinary practices that with documented benefit. You know, I'm married to somebody who's a Buddhist meditation instructor and a certified yoga instructor.
I love Chris.
Yeah, Chris is just awesome. And you know, interesting thing about Chris, though, is that here he is practicing every single day. He is a disciplined guy, right? Meditating daily for probably 8 years. Okay. Meditation teaches you self-awareness, and it teaches you how to not react to thoughts. It doesn't change the default opinion that you have about yourself. Gratitude, if you look at what most of us write down when we practice gratitude, it is external. It is rarely something within you. And what I love about the high five habit and why this simple ritual is so divine and spiritual is because it is about reconnection with self. It is and will. What I've experienced after doing this now for over a year is when I step into the bathroom, I don't even need to high five myself. I still do.
Right.
But what's happened over this repetitive ritual of raising my hand in celebration, encouragement, empathy, support, and love to myself every morning, no matter where I am, where I'm waking up, how I feel, just part of how I begin the day, is over time, because of the science, it has reset my mind.
Right.
I don't even see a person I would ever criticize. I don't even see my face. I just see this human being that I love.
That's beautiful. And I think with meditation, with the high five, with these rituals, it gives us the time to come back to center. And people use things in different ways, but it is the opportunity to come back to center, to kind of crowd out the noise.
You deeply impacted me today.
Okay, what happened?
Well, the boundaries thing, and I loved that. I feel like I don't have very good boundaries, but then I heard you just say that you were a victim of sexual abuse, which I also am, and I think that part that you were saying to put your hand on your chest, I think my vagus nerve is broken because it made me more anxious.
It's not broken. Push harder and repeat it over and over and over and over and over again, and you will slowly feel yourself come back into your body. So when you have an anxiety response, do you leave your body, or what happens to you?
I shut down.
Okay.
Bed covers, like I don't want to do things, or sometimes I go over the top and exhaust myself.
Okay. So what I want you to try, because I don't actually want you to stay in bed. I think staying in bed is a terrible thing to do. And here's why. When you stay in bed, and are you talking about in the morning? Like you wake up and just want to stay in bed? So there's a reason why we feel waves of anxiety and stress in the morning. Number one, when you wake up, your cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone, are typically pretty high. And so that triggers a kind of dump in terms of your emotional state. The second thing is that if you are waking up and you're not excited about your life, or there's chaos going on, you're going to feel this sense of anticipatory dread. So lying there makes the dread feel worse. Third thing, staring at the ceiling, thinking about your problems, does not solve them. Fourth thing, rolling over and trying to go back to sleep does not change what feels like a nightmare in your life, right? And so what will change it is if you throw off the sheets, put your feet in the ground, and get up because once you get up, you can get going. And once you get going, you can keep going. What I want you to add to this, though, is the high five in the mirror and the high five to your heart. Because before you start your day in a state where you're spiraling, I want you to come back into your body and tell yourself over and over and over again, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved. Okay? If you can hear it, it's true. Why do you think when we did that exercise in the audience, you felt a wave of anxiety come?
Because I don't believe it's true.
Okay? That's exactly why you felt that. You felt that because you've been running so fast and so long because you think as long as you're busy and you're running, nobody can catch you and hurt you. And so slowing down is terrifying. Okay? I had the exact same thing. In fact, it wasn't until this fucking pandemic that I couldn't go out that I really realized that I run to Target and Starbucks and go fill up the car because I wasn't okay being in my body and being still. I was so busy because if I was busy, then I wasn't having to feel the shit I hadn't healed yet. And so when you put your hand on your heart and you started breathing and going, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved, your body was like, oh, no, you aren't. We are running. We are going to Target. We got shit to do. We are not listening to this lady. And your body will fight it because you have trained yourself to run and move and be busy as a protection mechanism. Yeah. And what I'm here to tell you is you are okay. You are safe. And you are loved. And you can heal this.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll
believe it eventually, you know.
Okay.
I'll believe it eventually.
Right now, I want you to say it. Say it. Okay, go ahead. Put your hands on your heart. Let's see you do it. You can keep taping.
Okay,
Smart cookie.
Because I will forget.
And I will put a little alarm in your phone. So go ahead. Put your hands on your heart. Here we go. Close your eyes. Press deeper. Press deeper. Okay, now you say it for yourself.
That's the one I'm struggling.
Yes, you can. That's okay. Breathe in. Here we go. Breathe in. Blow it out. Say it.
I'm safe.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm safe.
I'm safe.
I'm loved.
I'm loved.
Breathe in again. That's great. Now say it again. I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm safe.
I'm safe. I'm loved.
Let's do it again. Breathe in. That's great. Really great deep breath. Blow it out. Say it again.
I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved. I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved.
Kind of weird, isn't it?
It's super weird.
What do you feel?
I feel it a little more.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Because there are moments when, there's all kinds of stuff going around you. And what you need to know is that no matter what's going around you, you always have you. And you can bring yourself back into your body. You can bring yourself back home. You can settle yourself in this moment. And if you can tune out the noise and come right back in here and feel yourself literally flip the switch and find some power, then you can take a deep breath and face whatever's coming. You don't have to run anymore.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm talking to myself too.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. So inspiring.
You're so
I
inspired.
want to be like you one day.
You are like me one day. You're running from your fears, you're anxious, you're doing your best, you're reminding yourself every day, you get triggered by shit. This is what my life looks like. Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I am creating these tools doesn't mean I'm not using them every day. We have a 21-year-old daughter who is a junior at the University of Southern California, and she's at the Thornton School of Music, and she's an artist. She's a vocalist and a singer-songwriter and a pop musician. And she texted me the other day, and she said, "Are you getting excited about your book? I can't wait to read it. I've been high-fiving myself in the mirror." And I said to her, "How's the high five working?" And she said, "Well, I don't know what to say when I do it. Because sometimes I still look in the mirror and think you're not as pretty as the rest of the girls.
And I write, well, you don't need to say anything. The high five communicates it for you. And then she said, but what if I didn't accomplish anything? Like I didn't work out or I didn't write a song today. Should I still high five myself after my shower? And I said, yes. You got to keep showing up every day, trying to do a little better. And that alone makes you worthy of support and celebration. You see, we have the secret to life and happiness and motivation all backwards. You think you need to accomplish something to be worthy of a high five. She writes, wait, you mean the fact that I exist deserves a high five? I said, yes. And when you high five yourself for just standing there in front of the mirror, you're demonstrating that you see you and all your potential. You support you and you believe in you, and that no matter what happens today, you have got your own back. And then I said, what do you think about what I just wrote? And she said, I love it. It makes me feel great. And I said, can you explain why it makes you feel great? Because it might help me explain this to everybody else. And she wrote, well, what the high five shows you is that you don't actually know how much you're always doing. And I think that once you start high fiving yourself every single morning, it almost allows you to be more present to everything you are doing. And it helps you recognize all those small victories. And when you compile those small victories, you can recognize all your accomplishments, big and small, and eventually come to believe that not only are you worth it, but you could do anything.
For those of you listening, can you believe that somebody has Mel Robbins as a mother? A few somebodies.
God.
I mean, what an unbelievable thing that this is just us texting. This is just a Tuesday. It is gorgeous. And I just am in awe. I mean, yeah, that's what would happen is you would start to take a better look. A better look is the right way to say it. You know, what really is the state of affairs.
Well, and can I say one thing though, too, though? Thank you for the compliment. But the truth is, both of my kids have a therapist. And one of the things they struggle with is they look in the mirror and they say, how will I ever have the kind of success that my mother has?
Yeah.
And so even on the outside, looking at somebody else's life, we all look in the mirror and flip everything to the negative, to an obstacle, to like, instead of saying what you said, which is, thank God I have my mom. And they feel that way. They do feel that way. But when we have insecurities, Kathy, we are masterful at seeing the world around us in a way that twists things so that it makes your insecurities feel bigger. We write extensively about this in the High Five Habit, about your brain and how to start making your brain work for you. But you asked about the 5-second rule. So the 5-second rule is really simple. It's a brain hack that is backed by science. You simply use it this way. The moment you feel yourself hesitating, you know you need to do something, whether it's get to the gym, put down the glass of wine, stop snapping at your kids, get out of bed, get off the couch, speak up at work, have the hard conversation, quit the job, whatever it is, the action that you're avoiding. The second you feel that hesitation kick in, you need to start counting to yourself backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. That's all that it is. When you start counting backwards, it requires you to focus when you first start doing it. So your prefrontal cortex engages, which means by counting backwards, you interrupt the self-sabotaging habits of overthinking, of worrying, of procrastination, of self-sabotage, fear, anxiety, all of it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you cut through it. And when you hit 1, your prefrontal cortex is engaged and you have a moment of control and you need to move. Walk away from the booze, pick up the phone, walk out the door, get up off the couch, start the conversation. And the second you move, you're now in control. And so I invented this to get out of bed. That's the best way to start experimenting with it. Set your alarm a half an hour early tomorrow, because that way it's going to feel painful,
because, you want to resist this a little bit. You want to be like, oh my God, because the resistance you feel anywhere is the resistance that you feel everywhere.
Yeah.
So when the alarm goes off early and you're like, ugh, and you start talking yourself out of it. I don't feel like it. This is stupid. I don't want to. That's all self-sabotaging patterns. Just count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It shuts it up. It switches gears in your brain. And now you have immediate control over what you think and do next. And that's the window in which you can change anything in your life. And so the 5-second rule, think about it as a tool in your back pocket to give yourself a push. The high five habit is a part of your ritual every morning to change and improve the relationship you have with yourself, to forge a trusted partnership with the person you see in the mirror, to silence the self-loathing and the judgment that is contained in the resistance that you feel.
Yeah.
And to literally program a whole new story about yourself, that you are somebody worth cheering for and believing in and forgiving. And, I'll tell you, one of the things that's interesting is that, I've been practicing this now as part of my morning routine every morning for more than a year. And something crazy has happened. I don't actually need to high five myself anymore. Do you want to know why?
Why?
I don't ever criticize myself. Like, I don't even see my body or my face. I literally, Kathy, have erased, like literally deleted a lifetime of self-criticism and self-hatred. And I have programmed in an entirely new way of relating to myself. Does that mean I'm perfect? No. I have compassion for myself. Does that mean I get everything right? Absolutely not. But I can forgive myself. Does that mean my life is easy? Definitely not. But I can ground myself in optimism and faith and know that even the hardest fucking things that happen, and this has been one of the hardest years of my life, that I know that something amazing is coming. I like to say this because I think it's true. And I think it's really encouraging that, you and I can look back and we can look at the hardest moments in our lives. And, whether I'm thinking about a best friend that was killed in a drunk driving accident or being molested at the age of 4, or the guys that I cheated on that I hate my, self for doing and made myself wrong, or the anxiety or the terrible career decision. I could just look at all of them, the bad friend that I was, the jealousy that consumed me. I can see every single thing, especially the bad stuff, is like a dot on the map of my life that has led me to this moment. And I can now, sitting here, look back and see the lesson or the wisdom or the person or the experience that challenge in my life or that thing that I used to regret has given me. I think the real gift that you could give yourself is being able to stand in this moment and know that this moment, no matter how hard it is, no matter how challenging it is, no matter how exhilarating it is, that it too is a dot on the map of your life that connects you forward to something extraordinary that's coming. And if you could only stop resisting that, and if you could only wake up every day, no matter what's going on and the ups and downs, and look in the mirror and see a human being that's there to help you and cheer for you and support you. And if you could only give that person the support and reassurance and belief that they so desperately need back, you will be shocked at how much more fulfilling your life is, how much easier things come, how much more quickly your resilience rises up as you get tested and terrible things happen and your heart breaks and life challenges you. Because it is true, absolutely everything that you have faced in your life has prepared you and made you a better person. And right now is going to be no different. The confidence and the energy and the resilience and the courage that we all want in life, you don't build that when things are amazing. They're like steel. They're forged in fire. And when you realize even the stuff that you don't ever want to live through again, or the most painful things in the world,
they're all teaching you something, whether you like it or not. And having this sort of high five attitude has, made me less stubborn, because what I can see now is my life has been trying to teach me the same fucking lessons. I just was pretty stubborn. And so life just kept coming with bigger and bigger sledgehammers.
Yeah.
And when you're open to the lesson that your life is trying to teach you, it's pretty miraculous how quickly new chapters open up in your life. Today, we are going to get right into it. We're going to talk about imposter syndrome. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because our daughter, Kendall, who is 23 years old, just had a situation this weekend that triggered imposter syndrome. And I thought, why don't we unpack this moment where your imposter syndrome got triggered? And then more importantly, the incredible things that you shared with me that helped you turn it around. So, ladies and gentlemen, everybody who's listening, Kendall Robbins.
Hey, everybody.
All right, so tell us what happened.
Okay, so this past weekend, I had my first experience as an artist in the real artist world, is what I'm going to call it.
What does artist mean?
I am pursuing a career as a professional recording and touring artist, and I'm a singer-songwriter. I've started to write my own music. I'm moving out to LA in a few weeks' time, and this past weekend was my first experience surrounded by people that are really successful artists that are doing the thing that I want to do. And as somebody that's been in school for the past 4 years, I've had very few experiences like this. And so this past weekend was my first few days fully existing in that world without the label of a student on my back. I didn't have that sort of shadow to hide in anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling embarrassed. I was feeling awkward. I was feeling like an imposter, like I don't belong because I don't have music out and I don't have fans and I don't have a social media following, but I was just me.
Okay, well, let's just back the truck up a minute. So let's just set the table. First of all, every human being struggles with moments of imposter syndrome. I'm looking at the research right here, everybody. I've got my research. Psychologists call this fear of being found out imposter syndrome. It was coined in the 1970s by two female researchers. In fact, Harvard Business Review, Kendall, says that executives worldwide agree that their number one fear is being found to be incompetent.
Oh, okay.
So this is a very normal thing for everybody to experience, and it is what is called intellectual self-doubt, where you enter a situation or you enter a room or you think about doing something, and in your own mind, you start doubting yourself. You start doubting whether or not you're able to do something. You start doubting whether or not you deserve to be in a certain place. And you start feeling worried that people are going to find out that you have no idea what you're talking about. And one thing that I will say from the get-go is the reason why I wanted to have you on is because the situation that you found yourself in on Friday morning just a few days ago is not only so relatable, but I was pretty impressed by how you coached yourself through it and turned it around and had one of the coolest, most affirming weekends of your life. And I know that you have a lot of value to share. So with that, are you willing to go there?
Yes, I am willing.
Okay, great. So just put us at the scene. What was happening Friday morning?
So this past weekend, I was lucky enough to go to a music festival, and I had an artist pass, which means that I got to watch all of the musicians and artists that were performing at the festival perform from backstage in this separate area that the people with the artist pass can hang out in. And I didn't really know what that meant until I got there.
And so what did you think it meant?
I honestly had no idea what artist pass meant. I was just like, sweet, okay. I get to cut the line. That's really awesome. I feel really grateful. And then I walk backstage and I'm surrounded by all of these like very established musicians and artists and performers and people that I've been listening to for the past however many years.
What was that like?
I mean, it was really scary at first because I had no idea that I was going to be within arm's reach of all these people that I've looked up to for the past few years. And being there as somebody that has just gotten out of school, does not have anything released, is just in the woods right now, figuring out who I want to be, what I want to be, what I want to write, what I want to release. I basically don't exist right now in the world that I'm stepping into. And so stepping into this festival as somebody that doesn't really exist online or in this industry yet, but stepping into it physically and being surrounded by all these people was just incredibly daunting. And I felt really scared and awkward and I stood alone a lot of the time.
So can you put us at the moment when you arrive at the festival, you get this pass that is a special thing around your wrist that gives you all access to go anywhere, and you walk into almost like the tent that serves as the green room.
Okay. So I have a family friend that works at this festival and has been going to this festival for a while. So he was the one that was actually able to get me the artist pass. I had honestly no idea what it really meant. I knew that there were some VIP features of this pass, but I did not know what my days were going to look like. I didn't know what the schedule was like. And so basically we get to the festival, we cut the line, we go to this special tent where I get this wristband, and then we walk into the festival. Immediately we're in this crowd. I'm seeing all the food tents, smelling all the smells, seeing all the people. And then we go behind the stage into this roped off section. Meanwhile, the family friend that I am with is sort of showing me the ropes, but of course he's very busy and has things to be doing at the festival. We go behind this rope, and there's this hangout area in the roped off section under a tent. And he said, this is sort of the hangout spot. Okay, I gotta go now.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. So I'm 30 minutes in, I'm wearing a long skirt and it's 85 degrees outside, which automatically I'm a rookie. And he says, okay, this is sort of the hangout spot. This is sort of our touch point. We can meet here. There's not a lot of service at the festival. So if
in terms of cell service,
there's no service at the festival. So if you need to find me, we'll just meet at this tent. I'm like, okay, sweet. I walk into the tent. I'm like, okay, free food, free drinks. This pass is freaking awesome.
Right.
And then I start to recognize the people standing under the tent. I mean, not every single person, but there were some very established artists. And I start to recognize a lot of artists whose music I have been listening to for years now, whose name I have seen on the lineup for the festival, who are now standing in front of me in the free food line. And so I'm thinking, oh my God, okay, this tent is where all the artists and performers hang out. And because I have this pass that says artist pass, I am also allowed to be in this tent. So I'm putting the pieces together slowly. And I'm just like, why am I here? I should not be here. I should be out in that audience with people. I'm not performing. I'm not part of a band. I'm here on a family connection. I just feel like, why am I here? This is so awkward. Not to mention I'm alone. So you can imagine that the imposter syndrome was even grander than if you're with somebody that you can bond with it over. But
did you go up to anybody?
No. So basically I walk into this tent and I see all these people that I've been following, and I put the pieces together and realize, oh my God, this artist pass on my wrist that says artist means that I have access to everything the performers do, which immediately makes me want to rip the thing off my arm and go stand in the audience, because I'm not performing. I'm not on the industry side. I'm not a musician. I'm not a musician performing with anyone. I'm just here as Kendall. And like I said before, doesn't really exist in this industry world yet.
What do you mean by that? You don't exist?
I don't have anything out to. I feel imposter syndrome talking about the fact that I don't have music out yet on Spotify. I hate talking about it. It makes me want to throw up everywhere. It makes me so embarrassed.
Why?
Because everybody else seems to have it figured out and have shit going on. I know that when I am not in an anxious state of mind, I remind myself, I'm on my own timeline. I don't really want you to include that.
No, but I think that's important because it ties into what I was going to share with you. Please say that.
Okay. I feel very embarrassed to share with my mom's millions and millions and millions of followers and listeners that I don't have anything out on any streaming platform yet. I don't have a social media presence. I don't have fans. I don't have anything. And I'm talking about being an imposter on this podcast when I've never been on tour. I don't have an album out. I don't have followers. I don't have fans. I feel like an imposter for being an imposter. I have imposter syndrome about doing this episode because I feel like I haven't been an imposter for long enough to talk about being an imposter.
What does that even mean?
This is just such a classic example of the syndrome, which is I feel as though I haven't, this feeling is so new to me that it feels like I don't even have enough qualification to talk about it.
Oh, so
do you know what I mean?
You don't feel like you're an authority on how to deal with imposter syndrome because you
I feel like
with it.
I don't feel like I had my first real experience this past weekend dealing with imposter syndrome, and I definitely learned from it. I definitely gained a lot of insight from the experience, but it was my first experience and I feel unqualified to talk about it because it was my first experience.
You're not really selling the episode.
I'm trying to make a joke. I do feel like an imposter right now because I feel like all of the other people in my industry have experienced this so much more than I have. And now I'm getting on here and getting on my soapbox and trying to tell everybody what it's like.
You're not getting on your soapbox. But this is why this conversation is so important. You're in it.
Yeah.
Everybody listening feels like an imposter in some area of their life. Everybody can relate to that feeling like, here I am physically next to the people who are doing what I want to do. And it's so close, I can reach out and touch it. These people I've admired, I've streamed, I've watched them at award shows. They're standing right there. They're doing what I want to do. And the only thing that's keeping me from doing what I want to do is this feeling of not being ready, or this feeling that I'm not going to have what it takes, this feeling of being a nobody, this feeling like somebody's already done it, this feeling like, is there room for me? And because you're in it, you are in a much better place to validate where everybody is, Ken. Like, somebody's already figured this shit out, coming in and being like, well, when you feel like an imposter, do this, this, and this. Yeah. It's easy when you're through it. Mm-hmm. You're right up against it right now. That tension that you feel is important. I remember, God, this must have been like 9 years ago, when I first got into the speaking business, Ken. I hadn't been paid to give a speech. And I get invited, as I'm just starting out, to go to this event in California and speak on a panel. I don't even know what the hell I was speaking about. All I know is there was this opening reception, okay? Sort of like what you're describing, an opening reception for the people who had been invited to speak at this thing. And so, like you, I walk into this room. I have the lanyard around my neck. You've got the little artist thing around your wrist. And I walk in and I am like, oh my God, there's Christy Turlington, the supermodel. Oh my gosh, there's Gretchen Rubin, the author. Oh my gosh, there's this person, there's that person there. And I see all these famous people, all of whom are speaking. I felt like I had no business being there.
Yeah, same.
And all these people were talking and they all seemed to know each other. And there were a couple instances where I'm like, okay, here we go. And I would walk up to a group of people and I'd introduce myself and they'd all turn, oh, what do you do? And I didn't even know how to answer it because I didn't have a book. I had given one TEDx talk and nobody had heard of it yet. I didn't have anything. I felt like I had nothing. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know why I was there. Yeah. And after I would introduce myself and people are like, oh, did you write a book? And I'm like, no, I'm just kind of speaking about motivation. Oh, okay. And then they'd turn. And something flipped in me because I felt like such a fraud being there, but something deeper was going on. And this is what was going on. I realized in that moment that I wanted to do something that mattered. I wanted to do the work or write a book or do something that when I walked into a room, it was like, oh, you're the woman who wrote the 5-second rule? I freaking love that thing. And that, like, discomfort that I felt in that moment, it sucked in the moment. I went back to my hotel room. I didn't go to the dinner. I cried. I stayed up all night. What am I going to do? But there was something deep inside of me that was like, you don't want to feel this way. You have something that you want to contribute. And feeling like you're on the outside of something that you want to be a part of is a normal experience. See, I think imposter syndrome, that discomfort that you were feeling that first few hours at the artist tent at this music festival, I think that is your dreams going, we got work to do. Oh shit. Like you want to be in here? You want to be doing this? You got stuff to contribute? You got to wake up. Like, you got to start putting yourself out there. Like, this is a step on the path that's so important, because you only feel imposter syndrome in situations that you care about. Because you care about whether or not you've got something to show for what you're doing.
Well, like I said, I was alone, and all of these very established, famous artists are walking by me. And it's not like I can be introducing myself to people and saying, oh, go check me out on Spotify, go check me out on Instagram. It's like, hi, I'm Kendall. And then and then I disappear. To the point where someone literally came up to me and was like, are you okay? Like, definitely knew. I looked like I was not supposed to be there. That's how, like, the imposter syndrome had basically creeped onto my face. I was so uncomfortable and so just, like, embarrassed, and just felt like, why am I here? I need to leave. I don't want to be here. I want to go home. I don't want to tell people I'm an artist. I don't feel like that at all right now. I don't feel like anyone's going to give a shit about me, including myself. Like, but yeah, it was horrible. It was really horrible. But I mean,
what changed though? Because this is where I want to go to. We can well, hold that thought. I want to hear a quick word from our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to go right to the moment where you flipped the switch, because you did. And you made it one of the best weekends of your life. And you made incredible friendships. And you came home a different person after those 3 days. And we're going to talk about what changed when we come back. Welcome back. I'm Mel Robbins, and I'm sitting here with our daughter, Kendall, who's 23, and she is pursuing her dream and goal of being a touring singer-songwriter, and we're talking about imposter syndrome. And so, Ken, I want to go back to the moment where you've been standing in the artist tent at this music festival for the first 5 hours on day one. Somebody has come up to you and said, are you okay? Because you look so out of place, and you're alone drinking a White Claw, surrounded by all these touring musicians that you admire. What did you do to turn this around? Because you turned it around, dude.
well, it definitely was not immediate. It continued for about a few more hours. So
Tell me about it. Yeah.
In that tent, oh God. And I'm slightly tipsy now because I've had 2 White Claws alone. And I'm sitting alone. Let me just tell you, every single person in that tent was with another person, if not 3 or 4. So you can tell that I probably look so weird sitting alone. And I was just kind of thinking, you know, I'm here. I get to be around some of my biggest inspirations. I get to go backstage and be an arm's length from them while they absolutely murder it on stage. I get free food. I get free White Claws. Why the fuck wouldn't I enjoy this? You know, like, I'm just going to enjoy this because no, I'm not performing, although I wish that I was. No, I don't have a Grammy, although that is a dream of mine. No, I don't have music out on Spotify that I can tell my favorite artists that are here to listen to. No, I can't do any of that. But you know what? I can be grateful that I'm here. And I can lean into that gratitude and just have fun. So once I exhaled and I was like, okay, I'm going to enjoy myself. This has been god awful up until this point. So
We're grateful for the god awful.
Why not? Why not have fun? You know, I'm either going to continue to torture myself in front of my favorite artists, or I'm going to have fun and put a smile on my face. So I said, you know what? I'm really happy that I'm here. Let's start to have some fun. And as I'm sitting alone, drinking a water this time, I'm thinking about all of this advice that I've gotten over the past years, and like, what are other things I can lean into while being here to try and find some sense of belonging in a place that I feel I don't belong.
Yeah.
And I think back to this piece of advice that one of my amazing mentors, Sean Holt, who is the vice dean at the Thornton School of Music at USC, gave to me. And he said, you know, because you're a beginner, Kendall, these rooms that you're going to start to walk into and these experiences that you're going to start to have, you can't be walking in there with some massive ego and some big head on your shoulders thinking, you know, I know best, I know this. That's not the way to go about this, is to be like, I know everything. But instead, you should walk into those rooms with a learner's posture and lean into the gratitude that you have for learning all that you're going to learn. And he said, every room that you walk into, enter with a learner's posture, but also know in the back of your mind that you have something to give to the people in that room that they don't have, and that you might not even know you have to give, but there's a reason you're in that room, and you're going to give them something that they don't know they needed, just like they're going to give you something you don't know you needed. Mic drop. Thank you, Sean.
Can I just stop there?
Yeah.
I wish I had known that when I walked into the room in Los Angeles. Because I walked in there and I felt like, oh my God, these are people I admire, or they're famous, or they're known, or they're doing cool things. I'm not doing anything. I'm a nobody. I don't have anything yet. And yet, that's the important part, yet. It's not that you can't do it. It's that you haven't done it yet. But if I had been able to flip to a state of, I'm just so grateful to be here. And I am going to introduce myself to everybody. And I am going to learn as much as I can. And I'm going to soak things up. And I'm going to be like a beginner. If you were in my shoes, what's one piece of advice you would have? Like, just soak it all up and in. And I like, it would have flipped off the insecurity that imposter syndrome can overwhelm you with. Because when you get up in your head and you start going, I don't belong, and you become very intellectual about it, you isolate yourself. And you cut yourself off from both what you can get and gain from the room and what you can give. Because every time you talk to somebody who is beginning at something you're really good at, their enthusiasm and passion always rubs off on you.
Yeah.
And so it's
I
true.
was told that.
What do you mean?
I mean, so a lot of things happened, but I just started to relax into it, and I started to meet people.
How did you meet them?
Well, the family connection that I had who invited me to the festival had a few friends there, and he introduced me to those people who I really hit it off with, and we started talking. And it was the first time that I was talking to people, but it was the first time that I was able to just own where I was at and say, I'm an artist, I'm a beginner, I don't have anything out, I'm just in my curative space right now, I'm working on some stuff, I'm really excited about it, I'm not trying to rush the process. And I think saying that and just speaking that out into the universe was sort of a weight lifted. But just being able to meet people and tell them that I'm a beginner and that I'm so excited and that I'm so grateful to learn from them and to be just surrounded by the greats and all these people that I've just been so inspired by for the past few years was enough, you know?
What happened?
Well, they were so nice and they welcomed me in and they took me under their wing and introduced me to a bunch of cool people, and nobody was quick to judge me that I was a beginner. And I had a few people even say, you know, it's so inspiring being around you because we now have to make ends meet by doing this, and we pay our bills doing this, but it's so cool to be surrounded by someone that's just so fresh off and ready to go. And it reminds us all of the reason that we started, which is because we fell in love with it. And like, we can feel that love coming off of you. And it just reminds us of why we do this, because some days it gets long and it gets hard and we don't want to do it. And it's hard to be so in love with the thing that also pays your bills, but it's so nice being around you and being around somebody that's just so excited about it. And that was just so validating, because They weren't complimenting my original music, but they were just complimenting my spirit and my ambition and my drive and my passion, which is like what I needed to be complimented on at this phase in my journey.
It's actually more important than being complimented on the music.
Yeah. And
Always.
so I made a bunch of friends, and I even got the chance to perform at this late night performance. And after I performed, I had a bunch of people ask if they wanted to collaborate with me and write music with me. And it was just really awesome. I think once I sort of owned where I'm at, which is a beginner, I'm not an imposter as a beginner, you know, because that's what I am.
Wait, say that again.
I'm not an imposter if I'm a beginner, because that's what I am.
Oh my God. Kendall, that's genius.
Well, I think you can diffuse the imposter syndrome if you just accept where you're at. I felt like an imposter around all of my favorite artists because of what they have accomplished that I haven't yet. But if I just give myself the space to meet me where I'm at,
Yeah.
then the imposter syndrome sort of disappears. Does that make sense?
It not only makes sense, but I have so many like ahas and light bulbs blinking. It's like a galaxy in my mind.
Okay.
You're not an imposter. You're just a beginner.
Yes.
And what I also love about those moments where you're new to something, you're learning, you're in a new job. If you start at a new school, you feel like an imposter, that everybody always has friends. When you move to a new neighborhood, when you try something new. And I think so many of us are so terrified of feeling like a beginner or feeling mediocre at something that we don't give ourselves permission to just be a beginner, because we think people are going to like us more if we have it all figured out. And the
No,
truth is
of
nobody
course
has
not.
it figured out completely.
No.
The people that you admire are tired of touring. And so the passion and the beginner's mindset infuses them with something. And I have so many takeaways from this conversation, Ken. I knew that I would. Number one, the next time that you're in a situation where you feel like you don't belong or you get up in your head, recognize it and flip it to gratitude. Be grateful that you are here at this new school, or you're here in this new job, or you are here in a room with people that you admire. Adopt that learner's beginner's mindset and just absorb as much as you can. Another thing that you said that I think is brilliant is that as soon as you gave yourself grace to just be where you are and to say it out loud.
Well, I have something to say about that.
Okay.
Another way to think about it, and this is another piece of advice that I got from Sean Holt, is that you become one of the most powerful people in the room when you beat everybody to your inconvenient truths.
What does that mean?
It means if you're a beginner and you don't have music out on Spotify, just say it. And just say, I'm feeling pretty embarrassed and feeling a little bit out of place.
Say it. I love that.
Instead of trying to pretend like you have it all figured out when you walk into this room, just beat everybody to your inconvenient truths. It's inconvenient that I don't have music out. It's inconvenient that I haven't gone on tour. It feels inconvenient that I don't have fans or a social media following. And so instead of pretending like I have it all figured out and I'm sitting in this room, I'm just going to be honest and I'm just going to be vulnerable, because if you come from a place of vulnerability, you're definitely going to make connection.
What happened the first time you said to somebody in that artist tent, well, I haven't released any music yet?
Well, let me talk about how it felt to say that.
Yes.
Because it was horrible.
Okay, so say it.
I mean, the first time that I kind of recognized that I was a beginner and was able to say it out loud was when I would be talking to people. And then, of course, the question comes, well, do you have any music out? And my jaw would lock. And I somehow spit out no and said, I just graduated from school. I'm working on some music now. I'm trying to figure out who I am what I want to sound like, what I want to say, and I'm not there yet. And I'm really excited for the process. But no, I don't have music out. I don't have an Instagram page with anything to look at least. I don't have fans. I don't have any of it. I don't have TikTok. I don't have it. And it's definitely scary being around everybody here that not only has that, but has gone around the country showing people. But I'm a beginner and I'm excited, and I'm so happy that I get to be here around all of you who are people that I've looked up to for however long. And yeah, I'm just really excited. And, I was met with so much, oh my gosh, that's awesome. You should take your time. You're so young. You have all the time in the world. Just things that I've been told for so long. But hearing it from these people that I've been so inspired by for so long was so validating. You have to be bad at something before you're good at it. And people are so afraid of being not so great at something that they don't even try.
Yeah. And they're embarrassed to admit that they're at the beginning of trying.
Yeah, and also every single person that in that tent has probably had an experience like mine.
Of course. And you know what I also find interesting is that you call yourself a beginner, but you just graduated from the top program in the world for pop music at USC Thornton, studying with Grammy award-winning artists and collaborating with plenty of musicians. You're not exactly a beginner, but you're a beginner on the journey of the touring artist world. And so I think that there are levels to that beginner mindset, because when I started this podcast, I was not a beginner when it comes to audio. I hosted a radio show in 2008 to 2000, for years, and won awards for it. And then I've published all these audiobooks with Audible, but I felt like a beginner that had never done a podcast.
Yeah.
When I started
I'm not
this,
a beginner singer. I am a beginner songwriter.
Yes.
I am a beginner in an artist tent. I am
Yes.
a beginner talking to my favorite artists. I am a beginner waiting in line behind my favorite musicians. Like I am, there are so many things that I have. I mean, it all ties back into there's something to learn and there's something to give. You can't,
Yes.
It's push and pull, but it's mostly balance. I think if you're only on I have something to give, you're going to get too caught up in your own world, and you're not going to be able to feel into the gratitude and the service, and you're going to be too obsessed with yourself.
What do I give?
What do I give? It's
Well,
all about
what I
me.
found is-
It's all about me, and it's not. But, and then if you get into the, what do I have to learn? What do I have to learn? What do I have to learn? You're just going to dumb yourself down so much that you don't even give yourself the opportunity to express what you do have to give. And so it's practice, and I definitely have not figured it out, although it sort of maybe on this podcast sounds like I have, but the balance thing, it's an everyday practice. But
well, one thing I want to point out based on what you told me is that the first thing that you gave is your sense of humor.
yeah,
It had nothing to do with music. And so you started cracking jokes with somebody that you were introduced to that is highly regarded, and it was your humor and your passion and your beginner mindset that broke the ice
yeah.
and had you make this incredible connection with somebody who will probably be part of your career moving forward.
Yeah, and I think another way that I think about imposter syndrome is I think about the fact that I'm a nobody. That's kind of what I was feeling. I was literally texting my friends who I graduated with at USC, who are incredible musicians and have music out and are just my best friends. And I was texting them being like, I'm a nobody. Why am I here? So-and-so just walked by. I'm drinking alone. Help me. And they were all responding like, you're Kendall effing Robbins. You're not a nobody. Like, go be you. Go have fun. You're supposed to be there. Love you guys. You know who you are. And I think in saying like I'm a nobody, the only reason that I was thinking everybody around me were somebodies is because of the accolades and the accomplishments that they've achieved
And the followings.
Yeah,
and
the
fans.
followings, but like the fans, at least in my opinion, the fans, the awards, the accolades, the attention that all of the people I was surrounded by have are not who they are. But as I was thinking about this, I was going, so-and-so is not her Grammy. She's her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have music out right now, but I'm still me and I can still be me. And at the end of the day, we're all kind of nobodies because people think we're somebodies when we have stuff to show, but without that stuff, we're just us, which is, I mean, the beauty of life. We're all just us.
You know what's interesting is that you just said people think you're somebody because you have something to show for yourself. But we're all just nobodies because there is something that is special about you that nobody else has.
Yeah. That's a great way of thinking about it. And I think the word nobody it's so negative and people think, oh, I'm invisible. But like, we're all kind of just doing our own thing. Because I don't have music out, because I don't have these awards, because I don't have this following that everyone around me has, I'm like, you know what? All I can do is just be me. And that's kind of all that I'm going to do throughout my career. And so I'm just going to do that right now because I hope that even when I do have those accolades and when I do have those fans, I can still be me. And I'm sure that all these people around me at some capacity are just trying to be themselves too. So in doing that, I think I learned, and I hope you guys can learn, that in just being me, the things that I started to give had nothing to do with my music and nothing to do with my voice and nothing to do with anything that I thought it would have to do with. The things that you are going to give in these rooms that you walk into where you feel like an imposter will likely have nothing to do with that actual career or the skill set you mastered in college to get the job that you got. It's probably going to have to do with your humanity or some experience you had that's relatable, or your sense of humor, or the fact that you're passionate about sewing. I don't know, like who knows what it's going to be, but I think what I learned this past weekend is that people felt a magnetic pull towards me because of my humor and because of my inappropriate jokes that really, I guess, brought some laughter to the rooms that I was walking into. And in giving people comedic relief and giving people laughter, that's what they learned from me. And in turn, I started learning from them, and the doors all opened.
Yep.
And like, lean into you in those rooms. Just be you. Recognize you're a beginner. Beat people to your inconvenient truths. Be honest by telling them. Just be you. And I think if you're you, you're going to give and you will also receive. If I was trying to be somebody that had all these awards or had a TikTok following or whatever it may be, I wouldn't be Kendall.
Right.
And I was Kendall, and she had a great weekend. I made a bunch of friends. I ate good food. I saw old friends. I made new friends.
One of the things that will beat imposter syndrome is when you start to also tell yourself that there's a reason I'm here.
We didn't talk about this enough, I don't think.
Okay, well, there's a reason why I'm here. You don't have to be like, I deserve to be in this room. Grab faith. You're in the room for a reason, and you might not know why, but have faith that there is a reason for you to be in that room. There's something for you to learn. There's something for you to give, and that's why you're there.
Yeah.
Because I see this a lot, and when you tell yourself that you have faith that there's a reason why you're sitting in this room, there's a reason why you're near these people, there's a reason why you're at this school. And if you can't muster up the belief that you deserve to be, anchor yourself in that there's something for you to learn, there's a lesson, there's something for you to discover about yourself. Because when I look back at my experience 9 years ago, and I was in that room with all those people I admired, all these famous people, and I felt so unworthy, there was a reason I was supposed to be there. It helped me discover that discomfort that I felt, that I don't want to feel like this in rooms like this. I want to feel like I'm somebody who's contributed something that's important. That's what started to motivate me. That's what got me to accept and confront the fact that I really wanted to be a person that had published a book. Now, I didn't publish it in the next year. I showed up in rooms for the next 2-3 years, Ken, still feeling like an imposter.
Oh, I'm sure it never goes away.
It does. There are new levels to it. Like when I met Alex Cooper and was on her show, Call Her Daddy, and I was in awe of her, the #1 female ranked podcaster in the world, and I hadn't even launched my podcast yet. You know what? Just absorbed everything I could learn from her, and I learned a lot. She's amazing. So there are going to be moments where you feel that because you're going to be a beginner again. But if you really embrace what Ken and I are sharing with you, you don't have to destroy yourself. You can immediately catch yourself and flip it into a learning opportunity and a gratitude moment and reminding yourself that, wow, I have faith that I'm here right now because there is something I'm meant to learn by doing this right now. So I'm not going to get it right. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to learn. And that has so helped me, and I think it'll help you listening right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the thing you also said about the fact that imposter syndrome, I think, comes from a place of, well, I really want this to feel like me. The only reason that you're feeling that imposter syndrome is because you want to not feel like an imposter in those rooms. You want to be a badass in all those rooms.
Yes, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. It's telling you, it's kind of like your mental compass going like, yeah, this is what you want. It's a reminder. There's a work to do. I mean, I don't feel imposter syndrome when I go to like a financial convention because I don't know anything about that, and I don't want to, and I don't have a passion to. I don't desire to. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm never gonna make it in this. I'm like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this room. I want to be in a different room. But it's the rooms that you want to be in that you're like, oh fuck, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. It tests everything. It makes you look in the mirror. It kind of like shines a light on the things you don't know about what you're so obsessed with and makes you like want them.
And that scares the shit out of you.
Yeah. No, I think it's true. I think it comes back to the idea that some days you're going to be a beginner in the room. Some days you're going to be the expert. If you find yourself in that room or that tent or backstage or in that workout class, wherever you are, and you start to feel that creeping up, I shouldn't be here, I don't belong here, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say, just trust that you're supposed to be there and that there's a reason that you're there, and take on your learner's posture. If you feel like you don't know anything and everybody else does, then just get really grateful and really excited to learn from the other people, and don't leave the room.
Don't leave that room. Boom.
Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.